We are Theaters.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Bright Side Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
It's such a boring week when nobody jazzes it up, huh, Steve?
Hey, I get told off. I get told off.
John, you muted yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You're muted.
Oh, man. What is happening to John tonight? He is just
You're
click
muted.
on the thing at the bottom left, John boy.
Unmute.
Mute.
I can't unmute you.
Yeah.
My mouse wasn't anywhere near there. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Just before you spoke, I saw that like the thing came up and then your mouth starts moving and nothing was coming out on our end.
Yeah, I was just turning down the volume because it was too loud. I don't know why that did that.
Oh, yeah. So, you probably turned it down and maybe you were turning down your audio volume and it muted. You went so low, it muted it.
Well,
Mine does
went
that
from
too.
I went from 88 to 72. It wasn't that low.
Oh, well, you hit something. You hit something.
John is having technical issues this evening, ladies and gents.
Exactly.
Yes. It's don't we all? I mean, it's tech, right? That's why, like, that 24-hour stream, it's a miracle. Because I mean, we had a few in there, but they were nothing major. But yeah, and that's why we love home theater.
Yeah.
Our lives aren't going smooth enough, so we decide to do this. I need some bumps in the road. Speaking of bumps in the road, last week, I don't know, my mind must have been elsewhere. We had a very different open. We talked and reminisced about the weekend, the 24 hours, and I forgot to thank Brian Merriman, patron. So he was a new patron at the time. And since then, we've picked up Dom Harpfe. Not really sure how to say that. Haerpfe. Steve's looking at it and going, you go, Deej. I'm going to leave that. Haerpfe. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming, patrons. Hope to meet you at the Zoom meetings that we have. We'll be having one next week, I believe. And we also grabbed Johnny Speakers coming in. He goes, I gave you a large box of popcorn. I'm like, no, that's extra large, buddy. So Johnny Speakers coming in with $100 box of popcorn.
Wow.
So
look, Deej, I don't know what the prices are like in your theaters over there, but here that's about that sort of size.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's barely a box of popcorn now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he said, yeah, that's not even like the souvenir cup. That's extra, right? But yes, Johnny Speakers was the one that won the Prime Satellite 5.1 system. Happened to have a picture handy right there. So he won that during the 24-hour podcast. So he donated, bought us a box of popcorn for $100. That'll be going to Movember, which that's our charity for this month. So we're getting up there. We're getting up there with the super chats that we've received this month, with the memberships on YouTube we're receiving. Everything is going to Movember at the end of the month. And we got quite a few super chats during the 24 hours. So that gave us a good jump on the month. And again, I'd really like to see how high we can get that number when we kind of literally tripped face first into this, which is kind of a funny way to put it when we're talking Movember here. You see that?
Yeah, handlebars are there.
Yeah, I got them going. And my son already he just shaved his beard, so he's fine. And he's got dark hair, so he can, this is it for me. I bet you by the end of the month, this is exactly what I'll look like, because my hair is blonde, this is blonde, so, and if you're not on YouTube, you got to go to YouTube to check out what we're talking about, because you're never going to see me talking about my face more than this, and I already can't wait for the end of the month, so,
One of life's great mysteries is those of us that can't grow hair on our heads can grow them on our faces really well.
Yeah.
So I'd be like,
among other places.
Jason Momoa. Well, I didn't like to say. Let's not go that far. I look like Jason Momoa after about 2 weeks. If I don't shave, man, this is just be curated. Otherwise, it'd be huge.
I cannot grow hair. I cannot grow hair as long. I'm already like a dolphin. I'm like, it's like, you see me at a pool. It's like,
not a fish.
Do you shave your chest? I go, no. This is it. This is what I get. I get that one thing and I pluck it out because it just looks ridiculous. It's like one piece of hair. I look like a dolphin. That's why I like to swim. I'm aerodynamic. All right.
Yeah. So is that by chance or do you do it on purpose?
Whoa! Ba-dum-ching. See, that's how you hit a mark. We rehearsed. Bam! Thank you. All right. On that note, we also have. Let's help out. Did you see what Todd's doing? Todd's got his own podcast going now. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Every week, and he's got 2 out already, eveything.com, but he's on Spotify and iTunes already. This I grabbed off of my iTunes app, I believe. HTNR, Home Theater News Review. Home Theater News, it's right at the top. I'm reading down low. Home Theater News Review. It changes all the time, and he said this week this is the last change. I'm like, okay, I'll believe you when I see it. But it's pretty good. He does you can go to the YouTube, AV Nirvana's YouTube page, and he does it there, but audio only as well. So check those out, subscribe. Let's get him some support over there. That's pretty cool. So thought I'd add that to the show. We also have Steve, you quack me up. Look at that from Scruffy. That's pretty funny.
He's a man after my own heart.
Yeah. It's like, here we go. 2 hours of puns coming your way.
Actually, we haven't said hello to everyone in the chat, actually, Deej. We should probably do that.
Go ahead. My mind, you know me, and we talked before. My mind's elsewhere. I apologize ahead of time. Steve, take it away. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
You're right.
We've got my favorite, Steve Att, is in the chat.
Oh,
saying that. I don't know
Steve Att is in the chat.
Yeah, smooth. Yeah. So, yeah. Although he was getting rather impatient with us a little bit earlier, so I'm not sure we can give him too much props. But there we go.
That's good.
So yes, hi to Steve Atts, hi to Van Gool, hi to someone called Brightside Home Theatre.
I was telling everybody we're in a minute.
And Paul's in, and and we've got Conviva Tech. Hi guys.
Where's that one? And what about
Creator?
Oh, that might be new. Yeah, I saw that today. Conviva CT is this new? Pal? Was he in before?
Oh, that's Paul. Remember, that's Paul.
Paul, that's right. Okay.
Norwegian.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hi there. Okay. Cool. Yeah, thank you everybody in the chat. We'll try to keep. And you said Van Gool and everything, and okay.
Yeah, I said Van Gool. There was some guy in there called Steve George. Don't know who that is. Can't imagine who that is. So I'm gonna say hi to him, whoever he is. I think he's new.
Speaking of which, Merry Christmas, everybody! It is now officially the holiday season. Steve had his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Steve! He can now watch Christmas movies because we know it went. He went like 30 years without seeing Christmas Vacation because he can't see it till after his birthday. So apparently last year was the year. So,
and this year he's going to be 2 because that was his first birthday.
There you go. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, I like the sound of that. Let's do that. That's a great idea.
Exactly.
I have got Trading Places. I've got in 4K. I've got Scrooged in 4K. I've got Violent Night in 4K. All just sat here waiting to be seen. And I'm like, no, I can't until after the birthday. So they'll be seen, ready for next week.
Nice. Got another friend I want to promote here. Our buddy Brett Bjorquist. Starting Facnatics, FAQ Natics. So that's his new YouTube channel, which will be kicking off on Thursday night. I believe it's at, let me see, Todd did a great write-up of it over at AV Nirvana, which I pulled up. I'd rather read it than tell it, like, let's see, during the chat, the conversation. All right. Special event brings together luminaries of the industry. Remember that word, luminaries, because I got to look it up later. AV Nation, Youthman, Giles McCoy, Brightside, that donkey, Brolic Media, and AV Nirvana for what Factnatics says will be an engaging and enlightening discussion that delves into the heart of Factnatics' mission and vision. And without reading the whole article, yeah, Brett's been wanting to do this for a while. We were going to kick this off. Actually, we were supposed to try to do it at Cedia at one point. So he wants to get into like home theater, home automation, home lighting, cigars, car. It's not just home theater related. It's like anything, like anything you've ever had questions about. And he just wants to bring, he said like luminaries and people he trusts and people that he wants to talk to. And that's what we're supposed to be. That I think I'm there just for entertainment. Just ask me questions and watch me fumble all over myself. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing with that group of people, but I'm in the room, happy to be there. But that'll be Thursday night. It's going out over pretty much, he's launching it on his YouTube channel, but I think we can launch it on up to 8 channels, I think. And if there's room, it may be here on my channel, but it's definitely going to be on AV Nirvana. So be checking that out. I'll have more information on Twitter and stuff like that too, but definitely be checking that out. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. I believe it's at about 8:30 Eastern time is what I have it down on my schedule for. Yeah, he's 8 p.m. He's got 8 p.m. Pacific time, so that would be 9 o'clock. So I have it on my schedule. I'll be there early. So 9 p.m. Eastern time. So that's that will be that on Thursday night. This Thursday night, hang
on, isn't Pacific time 3 hours behind Eastern time? So that's like 11 p.m.
5 hours. Yeah, 3. Of course, it's 3, isn't it? Yeah,
3. And that's why I said 9. That's why I said 9.
11.
No, 9.
If they're 8 p.m.
6 p.m. Did I say 8?
Oh, you said 8, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. 6. Yeah. Well, I said 8:30 my time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 my time, which is 9 o'clock that time. So let's 100% clear, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And that would also be 8 p.m. John's time, Central.
It would.
Or 2 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Steve has set his alarm.
Yes, to roll over.
Like, I have a frequently asked question. Can you please get off my YouTube? DJ, go to bed.
Can you please explain to us the time in all the different time zones, please?
I'm telling you now, guys, it'll be worth waking up at 2 a.m., going onto YouTube and just asking, where do babies come from? And just see
I was going to say, opening it up to questions is dangerous because
frequently asked questions, maybe in the George household. DJ, could you demonstrate? Okay. And did you guys hear? Well, first off, we had yesterday's live stream. Steve joined us in the chat. That was pretty cool. Did you guys get to hear any of that on calibration with Chris Deering, which was, oh my God, really good. A lot of great information there. What did you think, Steve? How much of it did you catch?
It was, because obviously it was my birthday. We'd been out for dinner and then sort of, and then I kind of had that and stuff. So I was
surprised to see you there.
Eye on it. And then sort of came back. Well, I'm surprised you were there. It was a pub up the road. Oh, sorry. No. Oh, you mean in the chat? Oh, I see. Yeah. So, it was interesting. I was sort of monitoring it, keeping an eye on it. And, he's an interesting guy, isn't he? And what he doesn't know about calibration isn't worth knowing. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
He is the man for this kind of stuff. Fair play to him. But again, though, it's still this discussion about it is whether if you feel you need it, again, if you have it done once, see if you like it, but always by someone reputable. And Chris is the man for that. And know if he does it, that it'll be done the right way. And then if you don't like it, you can still do your own thing. But I think you at least will know what it should look like, even if you don't particularly, if you don't like it, which is unlikely, I think. Because it does make a difference and it's well worth it. So,
Van Gool in the chat.
I don't know about Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was at Van Gool in the chat a lot on calibration. I didn't know. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot in there, a lot of, because I just think there's a lot of misconceptions on what a calibration is. And he had, good info with the chat, Stephen at saying good info from the chat with Chris D. Still sounds like it's more a priority for projectors versus large screen OLEDs. Yeah, there's definitely a case to be made for getting your OLED. And we discussed that, but definitely more so for projectors because it's more of a, there's more to tweak in there. But like I said to him, I'm like, the idea of even, I think a lot of people don't even understand like the settings side of it. And like an OLED is you have multiple environments you're going to be watching it, meaning a bright room, a dark room, and this. And to have somebody come in and calibrate all those settings for all those environments is important too, if you're into that thing. But like we said, if you're not into, like, if you don't think you need one, you don't need one. Don't let anybody tell you need to get one. But if you're wondering why, that's why we put that out, is to answer some of those questions. And I thought he did a great job. And one of the reasons I like him so much, and like Jim, is they're honest. It's like he said, like he said a bunch of times in it, like there's ways like he offered one solution that would like diminish his industry. And he's like, I don't care. I'll find something else to do. But that would be nice if we didn't have to do this, right? And it's like, you don't hear that a lot, right? Everybody's always like, I can make more money doing this. And it's like, they're not about that. So it was really interesting. It's always fun talking to him. Let's see. All right. You ready to get to... Let's just get to it because we got so much stuff and if I've forgotten anything, I'll try. Ask us questions in the chat. Maybe I'm supposed to have done something that I didn't do. Yeah,
but not about where babies come from, guys. Not about where babies come from. Let's set the parameters straight away.
Let me get this out off my chest out front right now. Here we go. Let's see. I'll pull up the picture. This is where I was moments ago. And we have officially broken ground on the next Brightside home theater. They started digging today. Lots going into it. A lot of stuff going on. I'm the GC. So I got a lot of balls in the air right now, and I've got a lot of things I've got to do. So from here on out until this thing's done, I may come in and go, here's another picture of what I did this week. It's going to be a picture of dirt and rocks and yeah. So there's some pictures. There's a pile of rocks. Let me go back and I'll show you what I showed Steve. So here's the little pile of rocks I've made with my John Deere tractor. There you go. And there's the pile of rocks. That's a couple of the rocks they dug out today. And then there's a bunch of rocks they dug out today. And then we're back to the lot and everything like that. So
that's what I said, Paul.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Well, I met with them early this morning on the lot, and they were like, oh, this is kind of a small lot. Out where I live, this is a relatively small lot, but it's not. It's, So that's where we are. Lots going on, so I apologize for the next months. My mind not maybe being exactly where it needs to be at the moment, but I'll always be entertaining, making fun of me, and do whatever you want to do. So thanks, Eddie. Eddie's saying congratulations. Nice piece of land. Looks like a big project from Steve. Yes. So I can't wait. And as Steve said, he's like, we were talking before the show, and Steve's like, oh, so they're digging the hole, so you're going to have an idea because your theater's in the basement. And I'm like, we're weeks away from being able to say we're standing inside the next theater because that foundation is going to be going up within the next 2, depending on inspections, 2 to 3 weeks. So we're moving quick. So we'll be able to, I can't wait to be able to bring pictures like that for you guys and be able to say, here's the walls, this is the theater, this is the area. It'll be fun watching it progress from there. So
yeah, I want to see a TV balanced on a cardboard box and you sat on some sort of, plastic container for the first film. It's got to be Bloodshot, obviously. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've got tons of Home Depot buckets. So
we'll be doing well, there we go. That's it. First viewing.
Yeah.
You should put some of them on little planks so you can have stadium buckets.
Oh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Although it's on a slope anyway. You never know.
I know. It's like just work at stadium seat and working right into it.
Done.
All right. We ready to get to home theater experiences from this week and some other experiences and news?
Just look at that. You've got there, Deej. Do you want to quickly just do that then before we get into the home theater?
Yeah. We're going to do that as soon as we get in. As soon as we get in. You ready, Steve? Are you ready? Are you ready? Ready?
Position.
Yeah. You can keep talking, with this new open that we got going here now.
Oh, can they hear us?
Oh, yeah, they can hear us. Hey, always tweaking. Big news this week, right? The Abyss in 4K. And I don't know if Paul Hurt's in the chat, but I'm sorry, John. Paul said a couple things in there. John Thompson schooled some people today, and listening to the people talk about film grain and issues and this and that, and it's like I bit my tongue. It hurt, but I bit my tongue listening to people because it all starts with, why do people like Cameron and Lucas, and they all want to get rid of the grain. Why do they want to ruin their films like that? That's like saying, why do they paint in oil? Or that's what they want. and John Thompson did his little thing did you see that one, Steve? About film grain and what
so I haven't had time to
it was awesome. He's like, this is what film grain is. And he goes, boom, 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 done. I think that's what the end of his tweet or something like that. But it's like, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty like he can, but he basically just said, it's like film grain isn't inherent in anything. It's not supposed to be there. And it's something that happens in the transition or what. I don't want to get into it, but it was like, people are complaining that things don't have enough of something that's might not supposed to be there in the first place. Or even if a director or whoever, the artist doesn't want it there, then that's their choice. But it's like, it's funny that we've all been begging for the Abyss for so long, and now here it comes, and everybody's all upset that it's not going to be the way they want it.
It was always going to happen like that. I mean, you were always going to get that. That's the next frontier, isn't it? Now give me the Abyss. Oh, I've got it. Brilliant. Oh, I don't like the way that looks.
Yeah.
It was ever going to be thus.
Right.
It's how it works, isn't it? No one can just, oh, my God, we're so glad. Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Yeah. It's now got to be, there was a shot at the 60-minute mark that lasted for 2 seconds, and it looked bizarre. For God's sake.
Or God forbid it was shot in Spain.
Well, hey, let's not go there. Hey, it's the film of the year, Spain's biggest export, The Covenant. Did you see the trailer that they put up for it on?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't watch it on Twitter. There was too much compression, but I watched it on YouTube, and it looked absolutely awesome. It really does look good. I just hope the film holds up, because I haven't seen it since its DVD non-anamorphic days, and I'm just hoping the film is still good. And I'm not 100% sure it will be. But
really, what, the story you don't think will hold up?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure if things have moved on so much since then, whether it'll be hokey. I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
It is the special edition version, right? Yeah, and I think what's going to be fun is, like, this came out, what, like 90, I think? So it came out before T2, which came out in 91. So I think that, like, the cinematic version had like the ending cut off of it, and they actually changed the storyline a little bit because they left out a bunch of the story, which is all okay. Oh, 89. Okay. So I think that the true special edition version that tells you the whole story, and it's all about, saving the planet and your climate change and what we're doing to the planet. And this was back in 1989. This has been an ongoing thing forever, and I think it's going to play really well, to be honest with you.
I hope so. I mean, I'll buy it day one. I mean, I don't, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go and see it in theaters. I will wait for 4K. I want to see it at home properly. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. That trailer made it look amazing. And of course, what won't have changed is the general look of the film, because of course it was all shot practically, apart from the the various morphing effects and all that. But otherwise, it's practical shooting. You know, they're underwater, they're in these environments, so that should all look amazing. So that will be very cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm in for it. I'm buying it. You know. Oh, John is in the chat. Hi, John. I will be.
Oh, there we go.
Straight away. No two ways about it. Sorry, John. Cut yours again. So John Thomas said what people do is confuse DNR with grain management, and a lot of people do DNR, which is so wrong, as it's designed for digital noise. There you go.
Right.
But there we go. So yeah, I can't wait for it. I'm really looking forward to it. And with any luck, this will be the first of a number of movies, because presumably it's Disney that are releasing it rather than Fox. Obviously, Fox belonged to Disney, so presumably it's a Disney release. So now start of them beginning to properly mine their back catalogs. Feel forgive the expression, bearing in mind, mining and Cameron and all this stuff. But so hopefully they're really
now check that one off your joke list.
Yeah, that's it done. That's it. Pun gone. So yeah, pun done. Pun and done.
This is gonna be a long day. Let me ask John this. Did you have the Laserdisc, John?
I think I did. I don't remember. It's hard to remember.
Everyone have that if you've got a Laserdisc.
I'm sure I did. Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Yeah.
And
it was non-anamorphic, wasn't it, Deej?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
Okay.
This was one of those movies that back in the day, and I can't wait. I saw the trailer, and the trailer is in CinemaScope, right? Like 235, whatever. The whole trailer is like that. I'll be interested to see what he does with this, because this was the first movie that I read about that when Cameron shot this, it was actually shot with like a 4:3 frame so that he would have more to do it, be able to utilize it in editing, right? But it also, another thing that he said back then was when you didn't have to go to pan and scan, because he had all the information right there. So if you wanted to put it out in a 4:3, like on VHS or something, you didn't have to do pan and scan because it was already shot, and we'll just give you everything that was there. And I was like, oh, back then I was like, wow, that's super interesting, because you can have letterbox, you could have this or that. What does that translate to today? If all that information was there, and and Cameron, much like Nolan, is that he loves this stuff. He loves to manipulate all of these things with us to us, but that's like the artist in them. What are we going to get? Do we get variable aspect ratio of The Abyss, which has never been seen before? Do we get it in CinemaScope, or do we get it in the big wide? We don't know, but nobody's talking about that. Everybody's so concerned with film grain. We don't know what they're going to do. And it's like, Maverick, I remember when that was advertised, it was CinemaScope. It was like a 235, big widescreen. All the trailers were like that. And then we get into the theater and it was like, whoa, look at this. So who knows where we're going with this one. So,
well, John says it's cropped to 239. Now, if anyone's going to know, it'll be John.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's what they've done. I mean, I'd rather have it in that scope anyway, because that's ultra wide, isn't it? Because 235 to 239 is wider again, and I think that would look amazing like that. Minus photography, but okay, there we go. So John, says,
I just did it too.
Yeah. You
do it, Steve. Go. You go.
Okay, all right. And
yeah.
There you go. So if the effects only go to 221, then I suppose there is a certain amount he's going to have to do.
Right.
But I mean, I'm quite happy to have it ultra wide. It's just one of those films that needs to be seen that way.
Oh yeah. And Paul's saying he wasn't super happy about having to go scope on some shots, one in particular. And those are, I mean, and it could be that special effects part, right? But it's like, I do remember reading way back when it's like that it was shot that in a specific way so that they'd have more options in editing, more options on, when you go to physical media and stuff. So, but yeah, it should be cool. And I mean, it's a movie we've been waiting for a long time. I know I'm not going to be disappointed. There's no way. There's no way.
Well, in Cameron, we trust. And I mean, we've had two recent. I mean, both of the Avatar movies, especially the first one being remastered in 4K, look gorgeous. So if he's done something similar to this and taken that level of care over it, then it should be absolutely amazing. And at least, and as you said, these at the beginning, if nothing else, at least we know it's Cameron's version. It's what he wants you to see. And if that means there are variation in shots and there's some stuff that looks a bit strange, well, that's what he wants you to see, and that's all there is to it.
Right. And the fact that he's coming out with, I mean, he's promoting this. He's saying this is what, see it the way it should be seen. Because there's, what, multiple generations now that have never seen this, never mind in a theater, right? So it's, I can't wait for people to see it, but I'm going to try to get to the theater to see it. But if I can't, I can't wait to get this at home. And that was the other thing on Twitter. Oh, yeah, see, look, now we're not getting it till 2024. I'm like, how do you know? This could come out for Christmas Day. That's still, and even if it doesn't come till 2024.
It's November.
I know. I'm like, that's a month after the release date. I'm like, it's not like we're in like COVID and they're going, not till 2024. It's like, that's a month away from the release of this. I'm like, relax, people.
Well, if you think we get Titanic in December, you're going to get a Cameron movie, in December, and you're going to get one in January, February. Then, like, what's to be unhappy about? There we go.
Well, nothing. It's like it's so fun. I love it. I love it. And that's why I just like keep my mouth shut on social media, and I just come here and go, they're all idiots.
It's just 1997. I can't wait another month. It's like, whoa.
And they just can't wait to pick on it. It's like, it's gonna be wrong.
I can't wait to get my hands on it. Oh God, I'm so sorry I got my hands on it. I mean, it's gonna be the same as, with The Exorcist again, again back to that in terms of, I didn't like how that shot looked. I didn't like how this shot looked. And there'll be the usual suspects on YouTube, Twitter, giving it all this stuff about how, oh, that's not the way it looked when I saw it back in 1989. You're like, well, you remember that, do you? So we'll see. But I just can't wait to get my hands on it and see it. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope, as I say, it's still a good film. We'll see. I mean, it was enough for Ed Harris to have nearly given his life for. So I think we owe it to him to enjoy it.
Yep. Yeah. Last thing, John Thompson is saying in the chat, early, like around Easter, springtime, from what he knows. He said, from what I know, it's on disc earlier Easter. So looking forward to that. That will be so much fun. So,
and talking about movies coming digital, you move on to the picture there. Obviously, I shared that video earlier of Chris Nolan and Oppenheimer, him talking about how important to him the home video release is, and that he's been working on it for months. And you've got to love the fact that he said, it'll be on physical media. You can put it on your shelf so no evil streaming service can come and take it from you. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, he's doing everything he can to promote, physical media and people purchasing this stuff to keep it. And again, it's like, I really feel like 4K, this is, I don't think I could have said this at any other time, but it's like, we're there. Like 20, 30 years from now, it's still going to be, it's not like, you can't play a Laserdisc today. It just doesn't work. I mean, it's, the resolution's not very good and it's hard to upscale it. But we're at the point now that even 24, I mean, say we have new passive 3D and that's a new technology, but what we're seeing on the screen now, it's like, it's beyond, anything beyond this is beyond our perception of resolution. So we should be fine going forward. And if you have these on your shelf, you'll still be able to play them and see them at the same quality that we're seeing now. Whereas when I take my Laserdiscs and put them up there, I have to actually go back and put it onto a 32-inch television with 480 lines of resolution to get any kind of like value out of it, to go, all right, that's what I saw. And that would be sad to see.
Yeah. Well, of course, Paul demoed one for us, didn't he? On the fair play.
That was pretty funny. So, every now and then pigs fly. There's an opportunity for things to happen that you never thought could happen again. Right, guys?
Right.
Did anybody doubt me?
No. Not you, just the technology.
Yeah. So maybe Bloodshot will be the first movie to come out in passive 3D, and I could buy it then too. But I think I might have. Now, am I at the limit? I don't know. I'll never say never. Never say never. I think it was last Tuesday, like what, right after we recorded. I sent it to you guys.
Yeah,
and I was like, I did it. Yep, I bought another copy of Bloodshot. I now am the proud owner from Sony Pictures Core on the PS5, which is also available on the PS4 as well. You can download these movies. You can see I got it up here. I got it for the low price of $12.74 because we're, the whatever member you are, my son is a member of, and I just downloaded it to the PS4. It still streams, but it's a higher bit rate. Let me just go through the trials and tribulations of it. So I compared it to my Kaleidescape version, and I didn't grab an image, but I also compared it to the streaming. So we're going to call that the 1 is the Kaleidescape, the 2 is the Apple TV, and the 4 is the PlayStation. So I compared those, we'll call it the 1-2-4 comparison. And as Brett says, do you end up at an X where you don't know the difference? I'm going to tell you, let the cat out of the bag, spoilers, everything. There's a difference in all three. All right. But there's also something along with the process too that I found interesting. Right up front, physical is still better. It is clearly, the better format, less. It looks clearer. The sound is better. But in the middle of this, and I said to you guys, I texted you guys, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I was expecting it to be at least as good at streaming, and it wasn't. It wasn't even as good as streaming. And I'm like, all the reports I've been hearing about Sony, Bravia Core for years and years and years. And I'm like, this sounds like it's a good idea. It sounds like it could be the future, whatever, that maybe they did something. It looked horrible. I'm sorry. It didn't look horrible. It didn't look as good as a stream, and it didn't sound as good as a stream. And all the sound, what did I say to you guys? I go, it was boomy, and it came off the front wall. Like the dialogue was like heavy and in front of me, not to the screen. And I watched like half the movie like this, and I accidentally bumped the PlayStation remote, and bloop, up popped a menu, and I was like, what the hell? Now, meanwhile, I was checking. I'm like, I've got Atmos because I went into the Sony PlayStation. Joe and we activated the Atmos. We did all of that. And on my receiver, it's telling me I'm seeing Atmos, and this is what I'm seeing. I'm like, okay. But the movie itself has its own set of codecs, just like any Blu-ray does, right? You have to go in and choose the Atmos. And I was like, oh my God. So I'd done all these ABs like halfway through the movie between the three of them. And then you find out, and like, oh, okay, there is an Atmos track for it. It doesn't default to it. And if you're not in the Atmos track, the Sony's pumping out Atmos, or it's doing its thing. So you think you're getting Atmos. I was like, ugh. Anyways, once everything was cleared up, the picture is still the same. That didn't change anything, right? Picture is, I would say it's equal to streaming quality. It's not as good as physical. The audio is much closer to physical on this. That's the big bump. It is really nice. And it is a bump over it's a decent bump over streaming, to the point that I think what Sony's done here with their Bravia Core. Oh, there goes John. John just fell out.
He is having tech issues tonight.
Yeah. So what Sony has done here is, I think they've brought this to like how we've always said, like the streaming sound has major compression. They're saving space here, and they're giving us a quality video image because everybody has a big TV, and or not a big TV, but everybody has a decent TV so that they can appreciate the difference. But the audio here is where they've removed a lot of the compression, or you get the benefit of the Bravia core. The issue is, though, it's all Sony stuff. That's all. Did you have a chance to play around with this?
Yeah,
Steve?
yeah. I did. You know, just shortly after when I first got the Atmos upgrade, I had a little look at Elysium, and I had a little look at was it Black Hawk Down? I think it was as well. I had a look at a couple of them, and it is exactly as you say. I mean, I thought, well, maybe this will be like Kaleidescape. It says IMAX, it says 4K HDR. I mean, this should be amazing. And I put it on, and especially Elysium. And I just thought, do you know what? I would rather have the disc. And, you know, it's fun to mess around with it, but I'm not about to curate a collection on this because, of course, Sony also, I'm sorry to say, have a history of removing content and just shutting the store down, and then you lose the lot. You know, there's no backup like Kaleidescape. You know, they shut the store, it's all gone. So, I mean, fun to play with, fun to have a little mess around with, but not anything that I'd want to spend any time, and especially not any money on. And when I'm a PlayStation Premium member, or whatever it's called, and so all these movies you get for free, you get loads of them.
There,
Elysium's one of them, and Elysium and things, and that is one of them. And so I didn't have to pay, but I still wouldn't choose that over my physical copy, as I think I said a couple of weeks ago. But it's fun to have a little play around with. But yeah, I wouldn't go spending any time on it or money on it. Because they've got history of doing it. They did it with their PlayStation store, didn't they, a little while back?
Well,
hey John, you okay?
Hey John.
Yeah, sorry.
And you are having tech.
I've been
issues
having problems
tonight,
since we started. Like I'm not seeing any of the chat. I'm not seeing anything on screen either, except for us. So I don't know. Maybe hopefully it'll be better now.
It's a gimmick is how I look at it, Deej. And
I don't think it's a gimmick. I don't think it's a gimmick. It's like, so I had in our Zoom chat, we had a little discussion. Paul was in there, and Paul Hurt, that is, he was in the Zoom chat, and he happened to read like the fine print of like Bravia Core stuff, and he's like, you only get it for 2 years. I don't know if that's the case on this situation. Like, you only own the stuff for 2 years. There was a whole bunch of stuff, and they have disclaimers in there saying it's only as your streaming service could dip. You're still subject to all the issues that streaming has with the Bravia Core. But one of the things we all agreed on, like when Bravia Core first came out, it was basically a way to get the best possible content to those Bravia televisions to show it off. It really wasn't meant as a streaming service, and now they're doing, and that's why you can only get Sony, or Sony Pictures or whatever, and it's to show off the Sony televisions, which is great. But I think it's also another way, and this is why, to get to your point of like gimmicky, I don't think it's gimmicky because they're doing something better than what we're getting now, and they're developing basically a technology that could play in the future, right? This could be adapted by somebody like an Apple, where your entire iTunes library could get the benefit of something like this, right? So that's why I wouldn't say it's gimmicky, but it's a good sign of things to come, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. The reason I was saying gimmicky, it's gimmicky more to me particularly, then it just felt like a gimmick. It's just something to play with 5 minutes and then never go back to it again. Unless Sony start saying, well, actually, we're going to release our content on this first. So you're going to get this before Kaleidescape. You're going to get it, before physical. You're going to get it. If they go that route, it might become more interesting. But at the moment, it's stuff that's already out, and it's things that is already better on physical media. But if they release Gran Turismo, 2 weeks after the cinema, and said, oh, you can now see it on Bravia Core, or Sony Pictures Core on your PlayStation 5, then that might have been something that would have at least been more interesting to me. But as it is at the moment, it's older movies or movies that are already out in physical media, and I'd rather have those from the tests that I've done. And we're going to talk about one a bit later on. But if you're doing my son-in-law does mostly streaming. Rich Keefe last week, we were talking about, he does mostly streaming. Instead of going out and buying all of those discs, if you want to try this out and you have a Sony PS5 and you want to see what the upgrade could be, see if your system
if your system can show off the difference, because that's one of the other things. Like, and I'm not picking on anybody's system, but if you have a smaller screen and a smaller surround setup, you might not be able to pull out the finer details that are enhanced by having a larger system and a larger screen. So if you pull up the Sony Bravia Core version of something and compare it to what you get on streaming, you might be like, that's exactly the same. That's great. Then that's not a fault of your system. That's not a fault of anything. It just means, like, you know, it's a lot of this stuff is meant for the larger scale, and that's where you get to see and hear the differences. So you know, that's part of it. So it could save people some money from being like, oh, I'm going to invest in all this physical media, which if you haven't started yet, I'm like, by the time you know and can see the difference, streaming might have caught up to physical media by then. So, but yeah, so we got some stuff in the chat here about Bravia Core, about big issues going on. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. We got I meant to highlight it. Apple 3D. Yeah, John's right there. Apple just dumped a bunch of 3D film in the store last week. Yeah, so a lot of this here is, I'll pull the image down too. Let me jump on this right now. Mosen, you want to?
I think he might be new this week.
Yep,
So Ryan
Mosen. So he says, hi guys, I have a Yamaha AVR V2085 and Eclipse RP line and dual SVS PB3000s running 524. Is the power amp makes a big difference? Will I feel more change if I invest more money towards a new AVR? You want to email, you can either email me that and I'll comment on that in our chat that I do at once a month. I do a whole thing where I talk about everybody's emails, or I would direct you to AV Rant and just hit up eveyrant.com. You'll find them on iTunes or whatever in all their podcasts. They answer those. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And if you have a great system, they'll be like, don't waste your money. That's where they get the rant from. That's my buddy Tom. But we do mostly scenes here. I would need to actually look a little bit closer at the AVR 2085 and see what you need. I mean, I can answer that. And if you want to email me, dj@brightsidehometheater.com, and it'll be in the last Takeover Tuesday of the month. That's when I do all those questions and comments. So, but hey, thanks, Mosen, for joining in. And but yeah, definitely check out AV Rant, because Rob H over there will break all of that down for you. He'll take probably 20 minutes just to tell you what you need to do and how you can get the most improvements out of your system. So,
but don't go there just yet.
Stay right here. Stay with us, because we're going to tell you all the scenes you can use to show off your system, whether it's that one or a new one or whatever you're doing. Yeah. I didn't even talk about my tweak of the week yet. No, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll save that for the end. It is good. It is really good. But yeah, so we got lots of good comments in here. Please, if you're just listening to this, go to the chat every now and then and check out all the comments. I mean, you can't. I mean, how do I not show this one? Paul Hurt, I think DJ is on the money here. End of story. Good night, everybody.
Done.
No, he said, but wait to see what happens with AV1, which is a codec that may change it, or a streaming codec, that is. So lots of stuff going on, a lot of technical stuff going on there. All right, what are we getting to next? Oh, you ready for this one, John? You know, I know you can't see anything, but
I can now. It seems to be working. So
all right, cool. Let's get to this then. This is another hot subject. The Marvels, now playing only in theaters. Get your tickets now. Steve, did you get a chance to see it?
Nope.
Okay.
And I'm not planning to either until it comes on Disney Plus. This doesn't really interest me that much, I'm afraid.
I had fun with it. John?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be great, and you know, that's fine.
I'd buy the disc, Steve, if I was you.
I'll see Disney Plus, because it'll be on that first. Then I'll get the disc more than likely. But I know what the ending is. I know what the end credit sequence is. That's been spoiled, and I was not a big fan of the Ms. Marvel TV show. I like Captain Marvel. Don't get me wrong. The original one was great, but I Wild Horses can't seem to drag me to the cinema at the moment, and this is kind of one of those.
Yeah, I had a blast with it. Jen and I went and saw it Sunday afternoon, and it was. I had texted John and asked him if what he thought. I think I saw that you'd seen it. Oh yeah, you put it in the notes. And I'm like, what'd you think? And he's like, I had fun with it. And then I was like, all right, I'll try to see it. Jen and I don't know if you saw the tweet, but we took the picture in front of the poster, and I'm like, what the hell? We walked all around the theater to find a poster for this, and I couldn't find it. I forgot it was coming, and John and I had a little conversation about that. I'm like, I don't know if it's me and my mind's been focused elsewhere and I'm missing this stuff, because this isn't the first movie it's happened with, but it kind of like snuck up on me. So I wasn't ready to like put it into my schedule to go see it. And then somebody on Twitter, I forget, I apologize, forget who, but they were like, you got to remember the promotion for this movie was like non-existent really. Because they were all on strike.
Right.
And they couldn't. So it's like, and I was like, oh yeah, you forget that part. And it's still, in my opinion, you take that information in, it still did fairly well. I mean, you're going to get your detractors, and I won't even approach that subject, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the home theater experience is going to be a blast. We happened to see it in 3D with Atmos, the best theater that we can see it in, with the good 3D, good sound. I thought the 3D really enhanced it. I don't know, John, you just saw it in regular 4K.
Yeah, I
right?
don't do 3D.
Right.
But yeah, I saw it.
But you know the scenes I'm talking about. There's a lot there where depth perception in this particular movie can really enhance it a little bit. But I cannot wait to see this at home in 4K, the HDR. One of the things, some of their star fields, they looked so good. Like the stars had all different colors. It's not, I mean, you could really make that out, and it looked really nice. I can't wait to see what it looks like in our theaters. And I thought the story was a lot of fun, and it could pay off big time moving forward and making things fun, entertaining, exciting. I think it's fun. John?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the story was a little shallow, honestly, but the movie was super fun. Iman Vellani definitely stole the movie for me. I thought she was great. You know, I mean, she was
again,
the
Steve,
perfect
fanboy girl, whatever, right?
If you didn't like Miss Marvel, you know, I mean, she's a big part of this movie. So
yeah, it's not so much I didn't like it; it's I didn't think it was for me. I didn't think it was made for a much younger audience. And so I struggled with that, and I never finished it. And so that was enough. And so when I heard this was coming, it didn't get my juices flowing.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely thought she was the best part of the movie. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. There was one or two scenes I could have done without. You know, not everything resonated with me 100%, but yeah, it's just it's a fun movie. You know, I don't know when the MCU took such a comedic bent as it has in the last. Yeah, really since Endgame, it seems like we're a lot more comedy driven with the MCU. And I think in some properties it works better than others. This one, it was fun and it worked. I think it worked better than like something like Thor: Love and Thunder, which I didn't think it worked very well with. But these characters, this movie, it felt more. And yeah, like I said, it's, you know, I mean, it's not The Godfather or anything, but it was good.
You mean it's not Transformers?
Yeah.
No, but it may be better in your theater than The Godfather.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
I mean, I will definitely see it, guys. I'll see it, as I said, Disney Plus and then on disc. I'm not going to go to the cinema to see it. I think I may be the person that is feeling this Marvel fatigue to a certain extent. I mean, I never got beyond 20 minutes of Secret Invasion. I haven't seen any of Loki season 2, and I can't seem to get any enthusiasm to see it, even though I've got time this week, but I'm not going to, I don't think. I'm feeling the fatigue, fellas. And I think
he's like, I got time, so I'm going to do a puzzle.
Well, I'm going to watch Christmas movies. Come on, Deez, we've already established it.
Yeah,
there you go. So I am feeling the Marvel fatigue. I'm afraid. And I liked Doctor Strange, in the Multiverse of Madness. I was the one who liked Quantumania. It was just me.
The one.
Whereas
I liked it.
I'm now, but I'm now feeling.
We know that, Deej.
Yeah, so I don't know. And again, it didn't help that I had the end credit scene spoiled. And so then, because that was well, maybe that'll be good. But now I know what it is. It's like, okay, well, I don't need to now. I might as well just wait, because there's nothing in this, as far as I know, that dramatically turns the MCU on its head.
No.
So.
But it doesn't need to, though. Not every movie needs to do that.
No, that's true. But I'm not. But to drag me to the cinema to see it, it would need to do it with this particular type of story. It would have to turn the MCU on its head to make me think, well, I have to see it. And because I know that it doesn't, it's like, well, okay, well, I can wait. And that's what I'll do, and and see it in March, April, whenever it hits Disney Plus and then physical disc. Yeah.
I almost did the same thing, but I'm glad I didn't, because it was a lot of fun, and I mean, Jen really liked it too. And again, like it'll be fun to get it at home and see it in that. I don't think I'll get back to the theater to see it in just 4K without the 3D. So it'll be fun to get it at home and be like, oh, okay, here we see it in its correct environment. So. I couldn't find the email address, DJ. Yeah, the email address, I'll actually type it in the chat too. But it's DJ at Brightside. I get this problem a lot, especially, I'll give this out, especially for the construction of the house, because it's this one I know it's rock solid and I get it. And they spell theater wrong, but it's Brightside Home
How
Theater.
are they spelling theater, Deej? Are we sure that it's wrong?
The British way, R-E.
Oh, good. Well, good, good. Okay,
that's wrong, and that's just it. So it's DJ at Brightside Home Theater, and it's THEATER.
So wrong then. So wrong.
It's wrong depending on what side of the pond you're on.
Right. And Steve, when we're trying to give out this information that's already wrong. Confusing, let's not confuse them more.
It's on the shirt. It's on the shirt.
It's on the shirt. There you go. It's on the shirt. It's on the website. The links are in the shows. But yeah, so DJ at brightsidehometheater.com. So yeah, you can send the question there and I'll take a look.
Let the record show, Deej. John says that it's spelt wrong. John being an Anglo and European
I spell everything wrong. So it's like, I'm used to my wife. I've been corrected on things I say, and I spelled it wrong.
Aluminium.
Aluminium. Yeah, aluminium. Well, it's like, oh boy.
Let's not start the Z and Z thing again.
Oh. How about our new listener on YouTube criticizing the man that hates inaccurate? The irony was just so rich.
I don't know what we're discussing.
Steve knows it.
I don't.
Which one?
Somebody on YouTube was calling you out for a fake accent.
Yeah.
And I thought the irony was so great because Steve hates movies that have bad accents in them. Steve's is 100% authentic, and they're like, "Stop doing your fake Australian accent. That's not an Australian accent." I'm like, "You're right, it isn't."
He's not doing one.
It was awesome. Sure. I love it.
Yeah, I wasn't about to engage with that because I wasn't sure whether it was a joke or not. I couldn't quite work out if it was
right. I don't know if he was just joking, because we did talk about accents and the Boston accents being accurate. So he might have just been joking, which I thought was hysterical. And it's like, that's the only reason I brought it up. And it's like, but I did think it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw it and was like, what? So I didn't engage with that. And whoever it was that was engaging with it, then just put end of.
Yeah, and he's in Australia. He's like, he's one of our listeners in Australia too. So that was pretty funny. It was really good.
It's a comment on YouTube, John. It was on one of the YouTube videos.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Yeah,
someone said I've got a fake Australian accent. I said, well, that's pretty good. I'm a New Zealander. As someone said in there. He's a Kiwi, lives in England. What?
He's a New Zealander that's lived in multiple different countries, so his accent's gonna be tainted anyways. It's like anybody's.
Blow his mind when I start speaking in Spanish.
Mine too.
With an Australian accent.
I've never even tried that. I'm not even sure I could.
That's a great question. To other language, you must have accents in other languages too, right? I always just
they are in
get them
Spain.
in yeah. So
There are 7 different dialects in mainland Spain.
I speak English, but with a stupid accent because I'm stupid.
But there are, I mean, particularly where I was in Spain, down in Andalusia, they speak it in a very different way, and the Spanish liken it to Cockney, like over in here. So certain parts of London have different accents to other parts, right. And so where I grew up in the south of Spain in Andalusia, they speak it in a very different way. Castellano Spanish is fish. In Spanish is pescado, okay. But down in the south of Spain, they say pecao, and it's the same thing. So it's really strange. You know, look at that Spanish language.
Right.
Right side home theater.
Bright Side Home Theater language lessons. All right. Steve, are you ready? Are you ready for your home theater? Your first one, I think, right? C. I got that. I took 3 years of Spanish, and I think that's all I learned. That and Senor. All right.
Senor.
I know my name isn't Roberto because I cheated on a test off the guy sitting next to me, and that's how they knew I cheated. Because, huh?
So what I was going to say, in fairness, my first 2 Spanish words were abierto and cerrado, which are open and closed, and that's because of Sesame Street. It was a store, and it had abierto and cerrado as the door opened and closed. And those are the first 2 words of Spanish I learned.
Nice.
I still don't know them. All right. Here we go.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay, so this then is the new here. I don't know if it's new over there or not. Probably not.
September.
The new okay, all right. So the new 4K edition of Batman Mask of the Phantasm in 4K 4K HDR, sorry, and DTS 5.1. Más audio. Bueno, si prefieres, podemos hablar solamente en español, si lo quieres. Eso no es un problema para mí, si eso es mejor.
Stop!
Sorry. Okay, so
chat just dropped by 30 people. No, I'm just kidding.
Again.
Or we gained 30. That would be great.
Yeah, it increased by 1 million, actually.
Reached a Latin American following.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, man. It's an untapped market, Deej. We had Coco last week. This week, we can just drop back into it. It's done.
Oh, jeez.
So, back to Batman. Now, get this, chaps. Here's where you're going to be disappointed in me. Okay? Brace yourselves, comic book men. Okay? I'd never seen this film before until yesterday. Never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the DC animated film, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the one. If nothing else, doesn't matter whether you've seen Gotham by Gaslight or The Dark Knight, Returns, or any of those, or Batman Ninja, you've got to have seen this, and you've got to love this. And I hadn't seen it until yesterday.
This is the one that kicked off the series, right, John?
I don't know if it
came off the back of the series.
Yeah, I think it was sometime during the series. I don't think it kicked off the series.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think the series was already running when this movie came out.
Yeah.
Well, quite. So but I'd missed it. All these years I'd missed it. I didn't really see much of the animated series, in all honesty. I knew of it and I'd seen some of it, but not enough to be certainly not a completist. So I sat down yesterday. I had a little bit of time, and I thought time is short for the show, so I need to see something. And this was an hour and 16 minutes, so I thought, this will do. So I put it on, having bought it a couple of weeks ago. And again, Jordan, who's not in the chat tonight for reasons, he recommended this, so I picked it up. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I can see why it's quite iconic in the way, because wasn't this the first time Hamill did the Joker? Isn't this the first time he dropped? I'd seen something about that ages ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I can see why it's iconic. I can see why it is what it is. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Doesn't outstay its welcome. It's enjoyable enough. And so that was good. Now I think there's been some controversy about the picture quality. Now, of course, again, as often is the case with me, I've got no frame of reference for this because I've never seen it before. But I'd heard that the Blu-ray and the DVD was washed out or had been was not a very good picture quality, whereas this has been fully remastered, I'm told. And it looked really good for cell-drawn animation, which I assume this is. It still looks really good. There's quite a bit of noise and some grain in the image, but I think that's part of it's just inherent in the source. But it doesn't put you off. The colors leap off the screen. The black levels are really good. It was enjoyable enough. I can't imagine it's looked better. So that was really good. And the audio on it was pretty decent. Bear in mind, it was upmixed to Neural X. There was quite a lot of movement. Some of the crowd scenes, you could hear conversations going on all around the room. There was some quite nice stuff when the fights begin. Yeah, I thought this was good. Again, bearing in mind no frame of reference, so I don't know whether this is how it sounded or not. It's been, if you click on the audio on this, it says newly remastered audio or original theatrical audio. So you can, that's literally how it's referred to. And I listened to the remastered one because I wanted to hear it as good as I could. And yeah, I thought it was decent. It's worth picking this up. And I think if you're a fan of it, and lots of people are, then I think you'd be, very happy with this. But presumably you guys are both big fans of this and have seen it a number of times, I'm assuming.
Seen it many times, but I haven't seen it since VHS. I mean, I haven't owned it since VHS, yeah. I don't think I ever had the DVD or I was watching this with my son when he was a kid, and I mean, he's 31, so I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen this. But
well, this should be one
come out 94, something like that. 90. Is it how?
Yes, in the 90s.
No, I don't know. He was born in 92, and so it's.
I'll tell you now. Here we go. Please hold. Your call is important to us.
Yeah. Mask of the Phantasm.
I probably took him to the theater to see this, honestly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Guys, 93.
Yeah, that was the year I was married.
Yeah. He would have only been one, so maybe I didn't. But
snuck him in.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I might have taken him to it anyways, but not for him to see it.
Or there may have been a reissue of this, mind, John. I mean, this could have been reissued a number of times into theaters.
Maybe
it's that kind of film. It's quite short as well, so you can see this on a Saturday. You can imagine this being on a matinee, or a Saturday morning, and that kind of stuff. Right. So you could well have done.
I've seen it a few times over the years, even in this theater,
endlessly because he loved it. So
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's 93. The Batman the Animated Series ran from 92 to 95. And so this was shortly after that, but maybe it was like after this. I remember when this got released, and it was a big deal that it was going to theaters. Right. And we were all like, oh, wow. And it was based, obviously, on the animated series, which was really good. I'm pretty sure that Mark Hamill didn't he do the Joker in the animated series too?
Well, he did, and that's why I don't know where it happened first.
Right.
This would have been between seasons 1 and 2, presumably, if it came out. And I think he appeared in season 1 of the series. Oh, okay. He was probably
the way he's introduced in this. The way they kind of introduce him, it's almost like, look at what we've done. It's the way that they introduce him seems to be such a kind of, it's the Joker, that made me, and I thought I'd read it somewhere that this was his first hint at it.
It may be. It's like, I forget, because I've seen the animated series. The animated series just came out with their box set, 3 years ago or something, John?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And I remember watching, Jen got it for me for Christmas. I still have mine all wrapped up because I had bought it in the individual versions too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great series, I thought. And this movie, I think, is iconic for the, comic book fans and stuff, because it did set off all of their DC's animated series after the fact. Like, look at what we can do. And they have some of the best animated stuff. And they're all, like you said, Steve, they're all around 115, 120, for time. And so it's really a, quick little hit that you can, do on a Saturday morning if you want before you do anything else. But yeah, it's really good. I haven't seen this one in 4K, but I have seen the Blu-ray version. I've seen it, in my theater a few times. So
it'd be worth picking up when it. I mean, it'll be like the other Warner's disc you bought recently, John. It'll be down to $9.99 very quickly, because this was only $19.99 when it came out here, and so I think you'll be pleased with it. As I said, I can't imagine it looking better. And I've seen, I've got Gotham by Gaslight, I've got Batman Ninja, which I really like, by the way, and I've got Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2, and I've got all those, and I really like them, and so that I'd missed this is a bit embarrassing to admit, but I've seen it now.
Well, you've seen it now.
This is the way to see it. Yeah, seen it now.
A lot of these, as Steve Att says, it streams on Max, which they're all on Max now.
Pretty much all of them, yeah.
They have, if you go on, like John and I subscribe to the DC Universe, which was out before Max or HBO Max streaming, and that had all of these in it. And I love DC Universe, and what they basically did is they took DC Universe and they did away with it, and then put it all into
it became like
HBO
a subcategory. Yeah,
it's a subcategory now, but all of this stuff, if you go on HBO Max, and this stuff translates really well to streaming too. It looks pretty good. It's better than it looked when it was on cable in the 90s. So, it is better to have it on disc, but it does, if you want to get an idea, it does play really well on Max. So,
and wasn't the series, when they released it on Blu-ray, wasn't that 133? Wasn't that because this is in 185, so this fills your screen?
Yeah, well,
so
this was made for theaters, right? The other one, it is 133 on that. But yeah, it's good stuff.
I'll be curious to see what you guys make of it if you do get it and see it. Because you guys are the experts.
I'll check it out
as far as I'm concerned. So it'd be interesting to see what you make of it.
Cool. Yeah. All right. You ready, John, for yours?
Yeah.
For your next one. Here we go.
Yeah, what is it?
It is
Transformers, Rise of the Beasts.
There you go.
So yeah, this was another $9 buy. Actually, it was $8.79 or something the other day on Amazon. Yeah. So I picked this up, knowing that you guys have already both talked about this on the show. But of course, this is the 4K disc with Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. This was better than the Godfather, guys, I have to say.
In your theater.
For my theater, yeah. I mean, this is just what you think it is, right? Like, it's a spectacle, and it's awesome when it comes to sights and sounds and booms and colors
Scenes,
and crashes.
yeah.
Yeah, and scenes.
Screams.
The movie's okay. I wasn't sure what to expect because I'm not the biggest fan of the Transformers movies. I did like Bumblebee, and so for $8 I couldn't not buy this. Right, there was no way to pass it up, and I enjoyed it. Like I'll definitely watch it again. It's a great, like I said, it's a great home theater disc. It looks fantastic. It sounds fantastic, and it's just a lot of fun. So,
yeah. And it's, I mean, like John, Steve and I said when we talked about it, it's that nice blend of Bumblebee and the action of Transformers. It's actually, I feel like the story is has a little more substance to it, which I wasn't expecting when I saw it. So, did you want to say something, Steve?
Yeah, I'm amazed it's so cheap so quickly.
Yeah, it was.
This is a brand new release. I mean, how the heck has it dropped so quick? That's incredible.
I think it took 2 weeks to come out too. It was only in theaters for a limited time, and then they're like, well, nobody was going, and that's the thing. Nobody's buying them. Nobody's going.
Well,
and then
Best Buy just dropped all their Black Friday prices today. I just bought like 10 more movies this morning. So. Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is down to $10. There was a bunch of them. I can't even remember all of them. Oh, Sisu I got for like $11.99. So I can't wait to see that. A bunch of them. Some older ones. I haven't seen it. No, I have not seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen Sisu? I thought all
disc.
three of us saw it.
No, I was waiting for the disc. I haven't seen it.
Man, you lucky man.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see that again for the first time. Yeah. So good.
Looking forward to it.
For me, it's up there with Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, my brain, you could.
Yeah. Cocaine Bear, Sisu, they're the movies that will define 2023 for me. So, you'll love that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's your definition of 2023?
Evil Dead Rise, Cocaine Bear,
Sisu. In terms of bug nuts, movies rather than films, then yeah.
They're fun. They're all fun.
Yeah. There's going to be controversy in our movies of the year podcast come December.
Really?
There's going to be. I'm going to invest in the army helmet, ready for when shots are fired.
Right?
No. All right. This next one, we talked about it last week, but I think we've all caught up. So let's get this going because this is going to be a fun one. So coming to the screen right now, we have What is it?
Blue-eyed samurai.
Blue-eyed samurai. I almost said ninja. Blue-eyed samurai.
Yeah,
It's blue eye.
Blue-eye
samurai. Yeah, otherwise it doesn't rhyme.
samurai. Yeah. I have one episode left. So I have the final episode to go. I even didn't want to get that far because I was enjoying one of these, like you want to kind of tease it out a little bit, let it last a little bit longer, but very, very good. Story is really good, but the audio, I actually missed. I don't want to say I missed it. I'm sorry to say that, but I think you said it was episode 4 or something.
Episode 6, and you were right.
5 and 6.
Yeah. Oh, was it 6?
It was 6.
And
and it was, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, but that's why I felt like I missed it because there's a ton of them. Yeah. Like almost every episode has a great, almost demo-worthy sound. Even some of the quieter scenes, some of the like birds chirping and flying around in the background. And then I felt like even the picture, it's simple, animation, but I felt like the details in there, especially obviously in the eyes, go figure. Yeah. But I felt like there was one scene where they actually used the reflection in their eyes for something too. And I was like, oh, that was really cool. And a few of the other scenes where it was like, oh, wow, this is getting towards realistic. It just a quick shot and you were like, that's drawn, but it looks really good because it came out of the stylistic a little bit. I mean, it was still stylistic, but yeah, John, you hadn't seen it last week, right? You binged it.
I had not
too,
started it last week on the show, but I was intending to watch it before we started the recording last week, actually, but it was too long of an episode. I started pretty much Wednesday and I finished yesterday. I had one left all through the weekend, but I couldn't find time to watch it. Because Lydia's home during the weekend and we were watching other things. But it was the first thing I watched when I got home from work last night. So
no spoilers from me, but I was a little disappointed with the wrap up. The very and now I normally like endings. I've got friends that hate endings. They hated Lost, hated Game of Thrones, hated the way it all ended, including Breaking Bad. But that's a whole other story. But I normally am like, well, hey, no, it was all right. It was okay. This, I just.
Well, do we think it's ended? That's the question.
Well, I
don't think it is.
I haven't seen it. So.
Well, no, I'm saying I don't feel like.
No, it hasn't. No, quite.
Yeah,
but
I don't feel like it's ended. Yeah.
No, but that's a problem if Netflix never get around to doing the next one.
Well, but that's the risk you take with everything on Netflix, right?
Well, I would have liked an ending. I would have liked an ending, which
a wrap up to the storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not spoiling it, DJ. I don't want to say any more.
No.
I would have liked a little bit more
moments away.
Closure.
Yeah. Want some more comeuppance in my endings. But it's a beautiful series. I mean, episode 5 is like Up for me. The way that you get and it felt like you get the kind of the very moving story of two people who were supposed to hate each other, who fall in love, but then you've got that. Obviously, how it all kind of ends up as well. I think episode 5 is beautiful, and then 6 is just a bonkers, absolutely bananas home theater experience, which you don't expect, and yet again, as soon as I'd finished it, I'm like, guys, episode 6. But the horse is thundering around the room. When she's underwater and all the water bubbling all around this big hemisphere effect.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
How about there was one scene where she goes into a tunnel, but it's underwater, but the water's frozen. So she gets out of it, and you can hear from underneath. Your overheads hear that sound when you step on a pond, and it goes kaboom, 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 and you hear the ice crack all the way around you. But this was over you. And it was all, and it was just so, and like you said, those underwater scenes too, the sounds they did, your room sounded enveloped in that sound. But that ice breaking overhead, I thought was crazy. I was like, I literally pulled a Franklin, my little dog. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, it is really cool.
It's a definite must-watch series. I mean, I think anyone into home theater that likes martial arts stuff, you know, or because it's not, I wouldn't really call it anime as such, not in the traditional sense. I think it's more Western than that.
It is.
Not that that's a bad thing. I'm not criticizing anime, but I don't think it is. It's not something that you've got to like anime to enjoy. I think it's actually been made for Western audiences, and I just thought it was fantastic. Yeah, really, really well done. Again, apart from just the ending for me, but that's just a personal thing. And if they do make another one, that won't matter because I'm sure they'll fix the comeuppance in the next one. But it's whether they'll do another one, and you never know. And of course, the problem with this kind of animation is it's lovely when something like this comes out of nurewhere, but if you've got to wait 5 years for the next one, I mean, look at Arcane. Yeah. You know, you've got to wait till November 2024 for that.
Right.
It's like, for goodness sake. So this will be 2027. If not later, before we get another one. And I mean, you know, it's a long time to wait.
Yeah, it's like, well, we still care by then.
Well, that's the problem.
No, well, I'll be like, did we see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did. And you'll be like, it's like that. That's why that, like, the recap that you get at the beginning of all these things, and it's like, you ever like accidentally skip through it? Like, how do I get that back? I don't know what the hell's going on.
I have, and I've tried to restart it, and it doesn't give it back to you.
Right?
Oh, wow.
You got it. Well, now you can go through, and it'll have it on the. You can see it in the episodes. It'll be at the bottom, like recap.
Okay.
Thank you, because you accidentally hit the wrong button, and it skips the recap, and you're like, oh no.
Actually, who are we kidding, guys?
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? By the time the next one comes out, we'll all be in the old people's home. Nurse, what was all this? I don't think we've seen this before. Where's my pudding?
He keeps calling me a blue-eyed samurai. I don't know what the hell his problem is.
I don't even speak Japanese.
Oh, all right. Do I have? Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Oh, you ready for this, Steve? I'll let you go first.
Okay.
I saw it in the theater. Most people already know me, so here we go.
Okay, so you wouldn't know it from that picture necessarily because it doesn't say what the name of it is. But this is Gran Turismo on not on the PlayStation 5, on 4K disc in 4K HDR with Dolby Atmos. So I didn't see this in the theater. Surprise, surprise. And this is another one of those, Deej, where I've had the screener for ages, and I watched the first 5 minutes about 4 times. And I think the first 5 minutes are dreadful.
Oh yeah.
On
a screener? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the acting is just wooden, and I mean, I've been talking to loads of people about it. So, you know, you guys have been spared it up until now, but I've been talking to lots of people about how the way these two teenagers talk at the beginning of this is nonsense. No one over here calls someone big dog. You know, it's just like, what the hell? Anyway, so there's this conversation that takes place initially, and it just was grinding my gears, if you'll forgive the pun. And so that was a problem. So anyway, it didn't stop me buying the 4K disc, which I did, and watched it yesterday. Yes, indeed. So now, having revisited it, having, you know, dug my nails into my thigh.
I would say visited it. It's like saying you came to my house and you drove by. And then you were like, all right, I'm going to revisit DJ. No, you didn't visit me. You just drove by my house.
I get you. So having dug my nails into my thighs and got over the first 5 minutes, the movie then begins properly. And whilst there are still acting challenges for all involved, and I think Orlando Bloom has been massively miscast in this, it is nevertheless an enjoyable film, and I had a good time with it. But more importantly, the person that I saw it with, who was an ex-street racer, absolutely loved it to bits, every bit of this, and ended it and was just saying, oh my God, that was great. And was about to then get into a car, and I'm like, just be sensible.
Yeah.
Because this sort of film, you know, really should say, don't do this at home.
Yeah, don't drive home from the theater.
Yeah, well, yes.
No. I told you that. My wife had to drive home with me, and she's like, oh no. From the theater. When I saw it in the theater, I was like, Oh my God. I think I was in my Tundra, so we were probably safe. No, maybe we weren't. We might not have been in my work truck, so that wasn't so safe.
Yeah.
No, we definitely weren't in that. But yeah, luckily we weren't in that because that would have been really bad. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry.
No. I'm waiting for you to finish because I'm gonna drop a bomb on this. But go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, watching it then in Cinema George, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it, a lot. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it a lot. To me, it felt like an extended episode of Drive to Survive. And it's kind of how it's shot and how it plays out. And it really did. And the establishing shots of the various racetracks, it's exactly like Drive to Survive. So that's how it felt to me. But as I said, I enjoyed it more because the person I saw it with loved it. And so some of that enthusiasm seeped into me, which was good. And I'll keep it in the collection and I will watch it again. And, I did enjoy it. In terms of the AV experience, I mean, that's the reason to buy this disc because it looks and it especially sounds. It's a Sony disc, people. Absolutely awesome. And it's not just the bits you'd expect. I mean, you get all the thunderous engine noises, you get the squealing tires, you get the racing, you get all that stuff too. But you also get subtlety. And right from the beginning, and I'm sorry to mention this again, guys, I hope no one's playing a drinking game in the chat. In Evil Dead Rise, you know how that starts with the fly? The little fly, that little subtle bit about the fly around the room. This movie starts with an engine fading into the background, a car moving into the background, and you can hear it go and go and go. And it feels like someone's removed your back wall of your theater. Yeah. And it just goes on forever. And I love that little subtle thing. You could easily miss that in the mix. But we, with our decent cinemas and properly calibrated, you can hear it move away from you as the rest of the album. And I thought that was a great sign of things to come. And so it's a demo-worthy almost front to back in terms of audio, apart from the dialogue. And it's
well, the dialogue's fine. You just don't like the way it was acted. The dialogue's crystal clear.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You just don't like the way it was acted.
The way it was delivered. Yeah, there you go. That'll do. But it looks amazing. Although, interestingly, it's not desaturated. It's been shot almost with natural light. So colors look natural, which is interesting because you thought that with a film based on a video game, it would have been pushed. They'd have pushed the saturation to make it look like a video game. But actually, it's very natural, which is an interesting choice. So I did enjoy it. It looks and sounds incredible. It's a demo-worthy material for audio and video. So very pleased I've seen it and well worth, revisiting. So, Deej, what did you think about it?
So first, I'll get to my home theater version of it. Saying this is based on a video game is like saying Rambo First Blood Part 2 is based on a knife. It's based on it's based on a real life story of somebody who played a video game that led them to the career that they have, right? So that's why, and that's what a lot of people didn't know that when it first came out. So it was like, he gained his knowledge from the video game and then got to get a career based on the Orlando Bloom character that it's a marketing scheme. Right, which was fantastic. It's a great story, and like I said when I saw it in the theater, and John said the same thing. Like, you know what happens because it's a true story. But like what John said, he's like, it's like you would never, if this wasn't a true story. It's like every trope of every action movie.
It's so formulaic.
But it's true. That's the problem.
That's like the problem. But
it's Days of Thunder. It's this and they arced it like Days of Thunder, and it's like literally I said after I saw it, it's like every Tom Cruise story arc. But this is this guy's real life story arc, and of course it's made for film. It's made for a movie. They're going to embellish and they're going to do some stuff with it, but. The home theater experience of this is absolutely it is demo worthy, like you said, beginning to end. Where, like you said, the colors that they're shooting, it's not as blown up and vivid like you would expect in a video game. except when they did want to highlight a car. So they brought in like a little bit, like they want to show you where he is on the track, and they'll do the little number over the top. So they like superimpose some stuff like a video game, but it's in a real world environment, which I thought that stuff there, or like the 3D, it looked 3D, like when they did the like the graphics around him when he was sitting in his, you know, set rig at his house. All of that stuff I thought looked fantastic. And the sound, the bass in this, because it has some great music too. The soundtrack to this movie was greatly enhanced by the sound in your room. It's like the punchiness of all the bass, like you said, the engine roars. I mean, it's just such a great movie. And like somebody who, I don't want to say grew up with Gran Turismo, but I like one of Joe's early memories of playing video games was me sitting him down in the theater and sitting with the steering wheel and the pedals and the shifter. And I had to have a shifter. I didn't want to do the paddles. I'm like, because this is what we had when I was growing up. So it's like you had to do I loved all that stuff, feeling the feedback in the wheel and everything. Gran Turismo was awesome for that stuff. This movie, and I was talking with a friend the other day. I was texting with a friend and I'm like, there's just something about it. And it took me a couple of days. My home theater experience of it wasn't as good. And it took me a couple of days to figure out what it was. I spent so much time playing video games. We spent so much time playing video games. This game in particular, seeing it on the big screen in the theater, this is the first movie that I will say I am so glad I saw it in the theater, because it's not the same in our theaters. Because I'm used to video games in my theater, right? And I'm used to like, there it is, seeing this on a giant screen, and that your video game system or watching this movie play out larger than life. It kind of, when I went into my theater, I was like, oh, it's like, I'm like, it's great. Like I said, it is a demo worthy beginning to end, but having seen it in the theater, I was like, this is the first movie in a very, very long time where I went, the picture might be better because it's small. It's more clear, but that experience that I experienced in the theater, it's just not exactly the same. And I'm not saying I'm disappointed by it, but to me, it's like, that's why we go to the theater. And we're trying to duplicate that in our home, and having a 7-story tall building, screen. You just can't do that in your home. I don't care how close you sit to it, right? So I feel like Oppenheimer might do that as well for me, because I love the theater experience on that. But this is the first movie that I actually was like, interesting. And I know you didn't see it in the theater, so it's like, it's, and I'm not degrading the physical version, what we're getting. I'm just saying it's like, that's why we go to the theaters. And this is the first movie that did that and pointed it out to me. So like it just like hit me like 2 days after I watched it in my theater. It took me a little while to figure it out.
See, I mean, obviously I can only imagine what it was like, but based on my local theaters, I'd rather have seen this with the person I saw it with, all excited for it, than 53 idiots on their phones talking, behaving like absolute fools.
That was fun too, though. Did I tell you the one when we walked out of the theater and listening to the people around me, and they're like, "Oh my God!" and they were talking about Le Mans, and they're like, they were like, that track. They didn't say track. That map is so hard. Like map. It's like they don't even know. I don't even know. Like some people, they play these games and they don't even know. Like this is based on real. Like that's a real track, and it's a legendary track. And they're like, they can't even call it that. They're like the map. Like, oh God.
Youth today, eh?
Oh yeah. They were in their 20s. I'm like, oh my God.
It did remind me also not only of Drive to Survive. The whole ending reminded me of Ford v Ferrari as well. There was quite a bit of that too, kind of the same sort of setup in the way it was run. But it is really, really good. I mean, I do recommend it, and I'm glad I've seen it this way because I know what I'm like in the theaters, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much in the cinema as seeing it at home. Yeah. And again, absorbing the enthusiasm from the person who was seeing it with me. So I'm seeing the acting issues, but the enthusiasm of the person who was going, oh my God, you know, when that incident happens where the vehicle lifts up, literally held their breath and would just gasped. So that was more fun than being in a theater. I mean, that was great. So I enjoyed it. Are you going to pick it up, John, or is it one that you watch again?
No, I'll pick it up. I mean, I thought the movie was okay, but you know, I remember thinking the same thing, that it's going to be a great home theater experience,
and it is.
And you know, I'll definitely pick it up for that. You know, when it's $8 or whatever it is, I'll grab it, because I didn't love the movie as much. You know, like I said, we just mentioned it again. I know it's based on a true story, but I just felt like it was every trope that you've ever seen in any sports movie ever. Yeah, you know,
it's a very loosely based. One of the reviews I read says that it just about qualifies for the tag of true story, but only just. I mean, there were whole events in this that take place in entirely the wrong order, including the major one, which got some flack from the family and some controversy from the family about that. But as a sports movie, and I think that's how you should approach any film. It is just a movie, and as a sport movie, it's great. Right. And you know, you've got your bad guys are bad, your good guys are good. There's not a lot of grey areas there, and there's lots of loud cars. What more could you want on an evening in?
I didn't even really see. I mean, well, you had bad guys on the track. What'd you think of Orlando Bloom? Do you think he's a bad guy, or do you think he's just doing his job? Because that's how I saw him.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of grey there. I think he would. Yeah, I think that on another script or another pass of the script, he's the bad guy. He is the manipulative marketing exec with another draft of the script. As this is presented, I think it's pretty clear he is trying to do the right thing. He's trying to have everything. He's trying to promote the company he works for, and also trying to give a young guy a shot, a title contender. You know, he's not Mickey. That of course is David Harbour, but he is. You know, he's there.
I love his character. I love his character.
David Harbour.
Yeah. Oh my God. When he first meets the students.
The only funny thing I thought about the thing I thought about him though is I'd be curious to know if his character in real life is the size that he is, because he's 6'4", 6'5". The guy's a bear. There is no way he's a racing driver. And in fact, when you see him get out of the Porsche, the GT3, you can see him almost squeezing himself out of it, and it was quite funny. If you look closely, he's really struggling. So there's no way he's a racing driver.
No, and it's funny because I'm wondering if that's, you know, no spoiler, not really a spoiler or anything, but that's one of the first thing he brings up to the quote main character is like, how tall? Look how tall you are. Like, do you even fit in a car? And he's like, I don't know. But that's the point of, like you're saying about David Harbour, and that might have been put in just to point at, like, yeah, we know he doesn't either, you know, but he's pointing it out, and it's like, you're bigger than him. You're supposed to be one of the greats. So, so much fun. Such a fun home theater movie, though. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a video game
I will
movie.
Say, better than Transformers in a home theater. I mean,
better than The Godfather.
Better than The Godfather.
Oh, definitely. Oscar nom here.
But in the pantheon of video game movies, which famously are supposed to be bad, this is one of the really decent ones. It's up there with the Last of Us series, up there with, you know, those kinds of movies. Even the Mario Brothers movie I happen to really like. And I think it actually does show that you can make a good movie out of a video game if you understand.
But that's why I'm saying it's not really a video game movie. The basis of the movie is that character,
the true story.
Life story, the true story that, they might have switched around. It's based loosely, but it's not based in, the idea isn't like, let's make a movie out of, you know, Gran Turismo. It was, this actually happened in real life. The Orlando Bloom character actually took this from real life and said, look at what we can do here. And that's all in the opening sales pitch, right? And it's like, it's not like Need for Speed, which I really like that as a home theater movie too, but that's literally just all made up. How can we take that and incorporate a video game into this? This was literally just, it was made by the Orlando Bloom character, like in real life. Like, here you go. Now we're going to tell a true, quote, true story. And it just happens to have a video game in it.
I think Gran Turismo is a character as well. That's That's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not,
And-
yeah. It's not set in the world of. It is just a character in.
Right.
Yeah, it is a video game in the movie, isn't it? It's
Right.
an acknowledgement that it is a film with a video game in it rather than a film.
I
about
also
a video
think it's
game.
it's an homage to the game too, on how good the game was. That this character still, I forget his name, still has a career. He's still doing. I mean, it's all true. I mean, and he literally came up through the video game and the realism of. And there's that one particular scene, you know, regarding glazing, where they point that out. Like, he had so much knowledge that everybody in the world was like, these kids can't do this. And he was like, no, there's a lot of information. So, John, that's a great point. Like, this is part of the movie. It's a character in the movie that, and you could say it's a Sony commercial, but it really isn't, because it's more of the developer of the game itself. And Sony just happened to have it for their platform.
Right.
But it was the highest bidder was going to get his technology and his idea, right? So it could have gone to Xbox or wherever at the time. This was probably out before Xbox, wasn't it? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The PlayStation 1 version of Gran Turismo was prior to the Xbox, the original Xbox, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a Sony commercial as well. I mean, the number of times the PlayStation thing comes up.
Oh, for sure.
And of course, the Gran Turismo logo. I mean, it's everywhere in this, even down to the little bag that he's carrying. You know, even that's got Gran Turismo written on it. You know, I mean, it's a marketing, wet dream for Sony, I'm sure. You know, and again, but if the next one out of their stable is Ghost of Tsushima, and as samurai fans as we are, Chad Stahelski directing it, that's what we really want.
Yeah. This is an interesting question from Paul in the chat. Do you think Gran Turismo would have been more or less successful if it had not been called Gran Turismo?
Less.
That's a great question. Yes. It's not a yes or no question.
Less. I think
less.
the brand recognition is what brought people to it. And then you get a good film as well.
But here's where this is why I think it's a great question. A lot of people avoided it because they thought it was another video game. They didn't realize that had they named it after the character and they said true story of such and such, and you were like, who is he? You might not have known who he was. And then you were like, oh, he came up through a video game system. You know what I mean? Whereas there is a perspective of people going, I'm not going to say it's just another video game movie. It's like Need for Speed. No, it's not. Right. So I could see that both ways. That's why I thought it was a great question, because my first intention was like, well, if it's not called Gran Turismo, what else do you call it? And then I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute, he's right. Yeah, it's
I mean, I think if you call it Welsh Racer Does Good, Chapter 1, I don't think everyone's
here's why Paul came up with it. Probably less, I suppose, but linking it to a video game kind of put me off. So it's a lot of people did that.
But
they didn't do a good job of advertising it that way either. Of telling you, like, I saw something and I was like, oh wow, this is what this is, and I could not wait for this movie this summer. And that's probably why I saw it opening day, is when I didn't miss on opening day. But
Sony knowing what they know. I mean, again, it's mentioned in the movie, there were 18 million people that have played this game. And so, you put Gran Turismo on it, not Gran Torino. You put Gran Turismo on there because people see that and go, oh, I know that game. And, oh, it's got flashy cars in it. Right. You're far more likely to go and see that than if you called it, Driver Dan, Welsh Driver Chapter 1. You're not going to be flocking to see that. So I think there's a brand recognition there that brings you.
Yeah.
And you're just fortunate enough to get a good movie as well.
Yeah.
And special annoyance factor goes to Orlando Bloom calling it Nissan. It's Nissan. And Nissan drives me crazy. Do you guys say Nissan or Nissan?
Yeah, Nissan.
Oh man,
Nissan over here.
As soon as the Englishman starts saying Nissan, I could have smacked him around the head with a wet fish. But anyway.
That was the other thing. I saw it again this week. I actually snuck this in during October, when it came out because I saw it on Kaleidescape, and I was like,
I remember you saying you'd seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I had to get that. I had to see this at home. And that's why when I saw it way back then, it's like, I didn't say anything to anybody because I was doing my Halloween stuff. So, but yeah, but there was that little bit of time where I went, wait a minute, there's just something missing here for me. But I thought it was awesome, but I'm like, something was missing. So, really, really, really good. Highly recommended if people haven't picked it up yet. So, all right, this is our last one, right, guys?
It is.
You missed Winter Soldier.
Oh, I never put that. Well, let's do that next week. We'll do that next week.
Right, it's a new release. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I never put that image in here, and I do have it. But all right, let's get to this. We've all done it. We've all seen it. So this should be a lot of fun. Here we go. John, why don't you lead us off? Who was the first one to see it, Steve or John?
I was watching it at the same time Steve was talking about it. Yeah. So I think we kind of watched it together separately. This was The Killer on Netflix. I had it in Dolby Vision and 5.1, strangely.
So did I.
Yeah. Steve, I guess, didn't have Dolby Vision. Everything else being the same.
Well, I didn't bother with Dolby Vision because I don't.
You don't do Dolby.
There's not enough of a difference to make it worthwhile. Right. I mean, it was in Dolby Vision, but I don't care about that. I've AB'd it and I don't see the difference. It is very weird. I wish I understood why an auteur like David Fincher.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is where it was going to come, it's a Netflix movie. I don't understand why we get Dolby Vision 4K and we get 5.1 something.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't still quite figured out whether it was DTS, Dolby Digital, or just
I think
PCM.
Mine showed 5.1 PCM is what,
mine did as well.
What my AVR was saying.
So that's weird. I was,
course,
and hence why we were texting, couldn't work it out.
Upmixed into Neural X. I think all three of us did that, right? So,
Yeah. Although mine didn't say Neural X, which it normally would. It literally just said PCM, and mine would normally say Neural X. So I don't think mine did. I think mine just actually put it out in 5.1.
Okay.
Because it would normally say Neural X if it was upmixing to that or Dolby Surround. So I think it is just PCM 5.1, which is weird. And I'd love to speak to Fincher to find out why. So, I don't know
that it detracted from the film a lot because it wasn't.
I thought it was phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the lack of Atmos detracted a whole lot from the film because it wasn't really that kind of movie. But I thought this was great. I know we haven't talked, so I don't know what anybody thought of this movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was excellent. Interesting. John saying
he saw it in the theater. Yeah,
in the theater. He saw it in the theater.
Okay,
it was in Atmos. Yeah.
Huh. Well, so that means the track exists. So it's even stranger that we didn't get that. I wonder, since this went to theaters, will this get a physical release, or is it just a Netflix theatrical?
Yeah, I think that was a
production?
special screening that John was at. I don't think it's been commercially released. Yeah, I think it's I think that was a screening, a special one. But yeah, it'd be nice if we did get a physical one. But yeah, sorry, you were saying about the movie. Sorry, John.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Started out a little slow. The first 10, 15 minutes, I enjoyed it. But my wife kind of kept looking at me like, what is this that we're watching? Is the whole movie going to be like this? But once it kind of got into the meat of the film, she was engaged with it as well. I liked it from the beginning. I loved the opening to this movie. Actually, I thought it was great. Excellent film, in my opinion.
Yeah, I for my part, I was irritated by the initial kind of setup of it. I was like, this is because I thought I've got some time. How often do we get a new David Fincher movie, and how often can we see it for the first time at home? In our own theater. So I was really looking forward to this and thinking this is going to be something special, or it should be. So as soon as I put it on, and I mean, that's my picture there. As soon as I put it on, and then, the Netflix stuff comes up. And when I saw Dolby Vision 4K, oh, great. And I just assumed it's going to be an Atmos because most of Netflix stuff is. And I saw 5.1. And I think, well, there's a problem with my system. So I shut down the app on my Dolby, on my Apple TV 4K, and I think, well, maybe it's just having an issue. Put it back on, 5.1. Oh, maybe it's my receiver. I'll turn everything off, turn it back on again, 5.1. Right, and so then I start it, and I'm mildly irritated. Hence why I texted you guys, because I was mildly irritated as I started the film. And as we know, if you start the movie off in a bad mood, it seeps into the film. So it took me a while to relax into the movie because I was irked. I was annoyed. Right?
Not exactly
so,
the best movie to relax into.
Yeah.
But
well,
okay.
no, but the rhythm. But you get. But this film has a rhythm.
Movie.
Yeah. Well, I think this film has a rhythm. And a very distinct rhythm, like a book. It says chapters. It literally is a film about repetition and about rhythm. And so once I relaxed into that rhythm, I really began to enjoy it. And again, to your point about the audio, yes, the audio I think in this is for a 5.1 mix, however it's presented, is very good. I mean, there's a sort of earthquake scene, isn't it, where you get this massive rumbling. All the cityscapes there's some lovely panning shots of sequences of mopeds going past and cars moving around and all this sort of stuff. So for a 5.1 mix, if that's what I was getting, it still sounded really good and it looked really good as well. But it just, because of that initial irritation, it took me a while to relax into the film. And I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was good. I need to see it again so that I can just put all that out of my head and just let it kind of wash over me. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was really well done. Fassbender's fantastic in this. I'm not sure if he blinks throughout the entire film. I think he genuinely, they've just dried up his eyes because he just does not blink ever. So that was interesting. But he's really good in this. And of course, he's been away for a while. So it's good to see him back in a movie like this. And I thought the supporting characters were really good. I mean, Tilda Swinton in a very short role is really good in it. It's Tilda Swinton, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, so she's really good in it. Very brief role, but very good. And you can't take your eyes off her in terms of, because it's just crackling with tension, that scene. And so, I did enjoy it. It's lesser Fincher for me. I'd still prefer Zodiac, Seven, movies like that. Those are Fincher at his A game, even Alien 3, I would say, but that's me. It is sort of A game. And then this one is slightly lesser Fincher. This is more Panic Room for me than Seven or Zodiac, but it's still very good. And I'm glad I saw it this way because, again, if I saw this in a cinema with people talking and phones going off, that would have undermined the way the film was playing out. So, I did really enjoy it. And again, I'm glad I've seen it this way. What did you think, Deej?
I thought it was awesome. It's exactly like you said, the pacing of the movie, the acting, the quiet. I mean, because I thought audio-wise, the entire time, I was thinking, like, this is an example, and I had no idea you were going to come at us with 5.1 issues that you had. So the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, this is just going to be a great example on, like, it's another reason, don't worry about the codec. It's because you can get a great experience regardless. And then we open our review of this with you like so stressed out about the codec. And I was like, the whole time you were just talking, Steve, I was going, Steve, you should listen to this podcast. It's really good about, they don't get into the codecs. They get into the experience. Don't let the codec ruin your experience. And Steve's like, I know your system and where everything is. So you're in the chair, you're getting up, you're going back, you're looking, you're like, why isn't it showing? I want the right words on my... Are we worried about the front of our equipment, or are we worried about what's on the screen?
But it's about the experience. And we want the best experience. And what we're used to is Atmos and Dolby Vision, or 4K HDR.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Because we say time and again on this show, Steve, upmixed. We're actually, the three of us have had the discussion, and we're in agreement that if it's not in Atmos, but we're upmixing it, isn't that almost, is it or is it not equal to when they just upmix it for you, like an older title, and then they bring it in and you're like, we don't know, our systems are so good, or not our systems, I mean, like the technology now is so good at upmixing, it's not like the old days. So the experience,
I think if you think you're getting something wrong, like if it's malfunctioning in some way, then you want to fix that and get the experience you're supposed to be getting. If you went into this knowing that, hey, this is this is a Nolan 5.1 mix or whatever, you wouldn't be worried about unplugging things or doing any of that. It's just the idea that you think you see Dolby Vision and it's automatically paired with Dolby Atmos or...
But Steve, let me go back to earlier in the show. And I mean, we literally don't plan this crap out. I mean, but it's no better of an example. I was getting Atmos with Bloodshot, and I didn't like the experience. And I was texting you during it going, what the hell? This isn't what I expected. And it wasn't until I bumped a piece of equipment to find out that it was the wrong set. There was something wrong. Because if I don't bump that equipment, I'm coming on here going, that was awful.
That's awful. Right.
Right? But it said Atmos, Steve. It was telling me I'm getting this. You know what I mean? So don't worry about, and I'm not talking to you necessarily. I know I am. But everyone, like, because so many people like, why aren't we getting Atmos with this? Sit down in your room. And now I'm lucky enough, my theater rack is outside the room, but I know a lot of people aren't. And if it's not there in front of them, because I was like that too. I like to have my rack right there next to the television when I had a living room set. And I was like, you like to see the lights light up and you like all that. But if you don't know, if you didn't know what your system was giving you here, you would have just, like you said, you enjoyed the audio of it's very, very good because of the way it's mixed, because of the lack of sound in certain scenes, and then how there are rumbles, there is bass, I mean, it's a very, very dynamic soundtrack throughout this, which again uses music. I'm sorry, Michael Fassbender in this, there were times, and this is going to be a weird segue, but he was very Stephen Wright to me in this, because he was very just dry and very just like, and I don't know if you ever saw his special, like he did a special or he had a show and he's walking down the street and he had headphones on and he puts in the little tape and he's walking, this is Stephen Wright, the comedian, and he's walking down the street and the tape that he put in was from his voicemail back in the day when you actually had tapes. And he's walking down the street and it's like, this is what he's listening to on his Walkman. It's like, boop, Mr. Wright, yes, we have your whatever ready for you.
Your extended warranty is about to expire.
No. He was walking down the street and he's like, they're like, your appointment for your eye doctor appointment is all set for today at 3 or for tomorrow at 3 p.m. And he's just walking along. You don't know where he's going. Then it's like 3 messages later, boop, Mr. Wright, yes, I'm sorry, we have to cancel your appointment. He turns around and starts walking the other way. And it was like, that's what this movie was like to me without that kind of humor. But he was, everywhere he went, he was so like just dry, matter of fact, got to do this.
Anticipate, don't improvise. Stick to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I'm on a mic, but if you're anticipating something, I still didn't get that, but it was so well done and so well shot, and the audio, I thought it enhanced this movie so much. And I swear the whole time I was like, this is another example on don't worry about the codec because this sounds awesome.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but as I said, John, exactly that. The problem is is this what I should be getting? And mine wasn't up mixing that I could see. It would normally say Neural X or Dolby Surround, and it just said PCM. So I think I was getting pure 5.1. And when I start off thinking, but that's not what I should be getting, there's a problem here. So that's actually me seeking the best experience.
Correct. Is it possible that because that happens to me too. And and I think it might have happened on this. So like I'll pull it up and it'll tell me like on my app, I can see what it's doing and it'll show me all my speakers on the app. Right. And it'll show which ones are lit up and which ones aren't. And if it's not up mixing, I'll be like, oh, so I have to go in and tell it, oh, this is one that I do want. If it's a new codec you haven't accessed before, your system might not know that this is one that you do want to up mix. Yeah. Because we're so used to like, oh, it's another codec that you always up mix anyway. So maybe that was the case. I don't know. But I know that it's happened to me. It may have happened on this one. I don't remember. But PCM 5.1 is still, it's a good 5.1.
Yeah. Well, if I'd known that's what it was supposed to be, that's what you're going to get, then fine, let it play, let it ride. That's fine. But the problem is, because this has happened before with Netflix. It happened ages ago with a movie where I first put it on and it said, 4K 5.1. And then I came out of it, backed out of it, came back into it, and then it's Atmos. And you're like, right, okay, so it's looking and the same thing if you put it on your phone, it won't come up in Atmos. Yeah, it comes up in Atmos.
Stephen Wright reference by Chris Brown. It's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it.
So you
I
know,
got
on
a
your phone,
seashell collection scattered around the beaches of the world. Perhaps you've seen it. I could go all night. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
No, you're okay. No, you're enjoying yourself. You go for it. You go for it.
All right. I like to stand in the shower with the tub filled and pretend I'm in a submarine that's been hit. I told you I could keep going. I loved him. Go ahead.
I've never heard of him.
You've never heard of Steven Wright? He's a Boston comic too. That's the other thing.
He's pretty great.
Yeah. Well, over here,
he used
Steve
to have
Rice
a job
is
at Logan Airport. He used to have a job at Logan Airport parking airplanes. When he got fired because he locked his keys in the plane too many times. He goes, I'm standing on a ladder with a codec trying to get in. But he delivers these things just like deadpan.
Yeah.
Just deadpan. Not a lot. And the best part is, like, we've seen him live too. And the best part is when you do get him to smile, he'll do a joke and you're crying laughing from it, like these jokes. And then every now and then he'll just go, like, he'll laugh at his own joke and then you roar. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, you're okay. It's
for now.
That's right. But so yeah, so I had I known that this would have been fine, that I would have been quite happy with it. As I said, I did like the audio. It's just a shame that I started off on the wrong foot, and I'm looking forward to giving it another go, because it is a really well done movie and it's been written to the nth degree. I mean, bearing in mind Fincher's famous for multiple takes. You can only imagine how some of this must have been replayed and played and played and played. So yeah, but it's good. Yeah. It is good. And anyone can see it. It's on Netflix. Go for your life.
Yeah, it would be nice to get this physically. For sure.
Oh yeah, if
we could get that, and then and then get Steve's codecs straightened out.
Well, I don't care if you want to release it in 5.1 Dolby True HD.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
Fine. Then I cannot mix it properly, and then I know I'll enjoy it even more. But what we got was really good. Yeah. Just it was the irritation of the. Right. I reckon Netflix should have to say, Steve, this is in 5.1. Just leave it alone, and then I'll know. Is that too much to ask?
No, but but that's. I mean, it's a great point because it happens to all of us. You go to a movie and John, what was it from? I think it was Shazam. Back when we were doing the other show, and I didn't like Shazam when I first saw it in the theater, and I had to go back a second time because I'm like, is it me, John? And it was like, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was you.
I'm like, all right. And I was tired. I was in a bad mood or whatever. But yeah, that definitely can happen. That's why I don't read reviews either, because I don't want to get somebody else's perspective before I get to experience it myself. And that goes for guys like even like a Ralph Potts or, it's just Mike over on AV Nirvana. It's like I read these guys after I've had my opportunity, because we all have different perspectives on these things. And when you hear somebody say, "Oh, this is I didn't like the audio in this," maybe I did, because maybe at that point the parts that they were looking for more, I wasn't, and because I'm into the movie, and because these movies are meant to be like a full experience. They're not meant to be like, just sit down and break it down to like the bit rates coming out and the audio that's at that moment, because if you break it down like that, you're not taking the full environment. And I'm not saying that those guys are doing that. What I'm saying is everybody's opinion is based, like, I know like how much I love something. It's based on more than just that one thing that I love. Right. So like, just say the audio in a particular movie, it could be the storyline that has me so wrapped up that I'm absolutely like just bonkers over how that sounded. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think a lot of people go, I loved it. I don't understand you. You're like, how could you be so wrong? Well, it didn't speak to you. Maybe your dad didn't take you to see this when you were a kid, like whatever reason you like something, right? And, if you get mad at the beginning because you're frustrated and it's like, this isn't working the way I thought it would. And I get the not neural Xing. You're like, that doesn't make sense because that doesn't seem right. So, yeah, stuff like that can take you right out of it. So, quickly, Chris is saying in the chat, David Fincher's The Killer debuts on Netflix at #1 in 88 countries with 27.9 million views. And that was just Steve trying to get the codec right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows
that was
when it's done
before I
since then.
started. Well, it's not like me to back out of a film and be texting you guys going, are you guys getting this?
Right.
Is kind of weird. You know,
I
normally
thought you were
I'd have
talking about
seen
the
it.
video aspect of it.
Well, there was that as
Like,
well, because initially
yeah.
it just came up. It was unclear. It didn't come up in 4K initially either, and then it did, and it was in 4K. I mean, you can tell. So it was a weird kind of setup, and just again, it just started me off on the wrong foot. But there we go. I will rewatch
But definitely
it.
worth powering through is the overall message, right?
Oh yeah. And if you see this on your screen, it's not a problem. This is how it's supposed to be. So don't do what I did, folks. Don't do this.
You don't hear him say that often.
Nope.
No. As I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly. Woo. Yeah, I didn't even get to Falcon Winter Soldier. Yeah, Captain America Winter Soldier. I'm going to once again save my tweak of the week for that, because that's kind of why I watched it. But for people in the audio, I listened back to that a little bit this week, and we've never said what it is. My tweak of the week is glasses. I've got glasses for the first time, and I can't wait to tell you guys about the experience of that and what it was like. I went from my vision is fine. These are just, and as the doctor said, they're more of an enhancement type thing, like our theaters. I went from 20/25 in one eye to 20/20 in my left eye, so my vision's pretty good anyways. But what this is doing for me, I'll save for next week, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's definitely worth. I read about it a long time ago, just hadn't had the opportunity to get to the doctors and get everything checked out. But we spend so much time on our gear and getting everything right. And what I'm going to describe next week is like, you also got to take care of this part too, so that you're making sure you're getting everything. It doesn't mean anything I saw or experienced before is wrong. That's your perception, your reality at that time. But now what I'm seeing is just, a lot of fun. So, and if you've had glasses your whole life, you know this because I never needed them. I have never needed them, and it's just all of a sudden I'm like, I can't see a damn thing up close, and especially as the day goes. But I'll describe that more next week, because who knows what else we'll have. But we've had some busy
next week,
guys.
The Old Man Podcast, where each talks about glasses, one of us talks about our prostate, and that'll be the offshoot. And one of us falls asleep halfway through.
Oh man. Oh man.
Just because it was my birthday yesterday, Deez.
I know. Jeez. I love it. I mean, you're so humble about it too on Twitter. Don't you hate it when people come onto Twitter and start talking about their birthday?
I do that every year. Every year I do it. Yeah.
I know you do. It's pretty funny. So, all right. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Lots of chatter going on there. Really appreciate it. And like I said earlier in the show, email me at dj@brightsidehometheater.com for questions, comments, stuff like that. Leave comments on YouTube as well, because I get to most of those, whether you like our accents, whether you like
I was about to say
my facial hair, whether, stuff like that, all the good fun stuff. Make fun of us. I don't care. Give us a thumbs down. I really don't understand those. I mean, I get it. You want to give it its interactions. It's fine. It helps the algorithms, but we got a few thumbs down on each of the 24-hour podcast.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Oh. And I'm like, what are you doing watching it? It says right in the title, 24 hours of, I think Paul Hurt put it on Twitter, and he goes, I can't believe it worked out so well for something that's basically called guys talking to guys. That's all it is for 24 hours. But it's like, what are you doing watching? And you're like, I'm done with this. Okay. Thanks for the thumbs down. It's so funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, look, that's one. There's none on that one.
Whatever. But yeah, outrageous. rate, review, subscribe, iTunes, all of that. Don't forget about AV Nirvana's podcast going now on Spotify and iTunes. We got Fact Question. It's changed a couple times, but Fact Question, that's coming up Thursday night on YouTube. So check us out there. Next week's Takeover Tuesday will be the audio cleaned up version of me and Chris Deering. Hoping the following one after that, I think I'll have another listener guest again. We'll get back to that. Anything else, guys? Patrons, thank you. Support the show over there. Boxes of popcorn, everything this month going to Movember. I think that's it.
Yeah,
it's almost a whole other show in itself.
Yeah.
All right.
What we're going to be watching this week, ready for next week that we might watch? John, are you trailing anything from your collection ones you bought?
Well, depends on what comes in on time for next week.
Okay, Mystery Man. I like it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna. Go on. Yeah.
Okay. I'll go last. I mean, go ahead. Go.
Okay. Well, I am going to try and see Scrooged, Trading Places, and Violent Night. I am doing Violent Night in 4K and Atmos for the first time. Blu-ray here was only in 7.1, so this is in Atmos. So that I am doing this week, come hell or high water. That is what I am going to be doing this week.
That's one of Todd's favorite movies for Christmas. I mean, I really liked it. We saw it, Todd and I saw it in Atmos last year. Yeah, we saw it all last year and talked about it. But yeah, for you to see that in Atmos now, it is really good. I mean, it is a true, like, gory horror movie. And, David Harbour again. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It comes in. Yep. It's and a
mine
is from Bristol at the beginning.
Next Tuesday, we will be recording at 5 p.m. I am guaranteeing at least once, maybe twice, I will have seen Oppenheimer at home, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that. That's I think it's going to be my home theater movie of the year, I think, but I have to wait to see it. I think it would knock The Covenant off the shelf, off the #1 spot. That's still my #1 movie for the year until next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, I will have my Oppenheimer report. So maybe I'll throw in some Big Bang Theory too.
It'll be an explosive show.
Yes, exactly. All right. I see you guys next week. Until then, what are you going to do?
Go push play.
What he said.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.